Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to 365 Days of Love and Miracles with A Course in Miracles. My name is Arlene Geres, and I am so glad that you are here. Please remember to listen right until the very end because we have a special treat for you. And if you enjoyed today's video, please click like and subscribe below because this helps others to find us on YouTube. Today's lesson is lesson number 311. I would judge all things as I would have them be. This is our first lesson under the title of What is the Last Judgment? But this has been a real challenge for me. Through A Course in Miracles, I learned to recognize when I'm in judgment. I can be very judgy. I like to say to myself, who made you, God? I don't know what somebody else is supposed to be doing. I don't know what they're supposed to be saying in any particular moment. I'm not the judge, but somehow or other, I think that I should be. This is all my ego at work, and boy, can it ever be powerful sometimes. What I have learned to see instead is that everyone has their own path. I don't know what that path is all about. I don't know where God is leading them. I like to say that there's this straight and narrow road, but it has deep ditches on either side. And my way of traveling has been to go from ditch to ditch to ditch, and I just get a momentary piece of that straight and narrow road. A Course in Miracles has helped me to stay on that straight and narrow road a lot more often and to stay out of those deep ditches. Those ditches are painful, and it all starts with judgment. When I'm judging another person, and particularly if I'm judging myself, I go off into some very negative places. I can go off into crazy thinking, and I can stay there for long periods of time. But thank you to God that through A Course in Miracles, I now recognize when I'm doing that a lot faster, and I can bring myself back onto the road, and I can stay there for longer periods of time. That road is where peace and joy and love and happiness are found. And the more I practice this, the better I get at it. The same is true for you. We're into our 11th month of studying the Course. And hopefully for you are also recognizing when you're falling off into the ditch and when you need to come back onto God's straight road of peace, joy, and happiness. Let's take a look at today's lesson. I judge all things as I would have them be. This means there's a way that I think things should go. Boy, if that's not ego, I don't know what is. I always thought that I had a better idea. All you had to do was ask me. And even if you didn't ask me, then I would volunteer my better idea. That got me into a lot of trouble. That there were people who just ran the other way whenever they saw me coming. I try really hard to not do that anymore. Let's read the first paragraph. Judgment was made to be a weapon used against the truth. It separates what it is being used against and sets it off as if it were a thing apart. And then it makes of it what you would have it be. It judges what it cannot understand because it cannot see totality and therefore judges falsely. Let us not use it today, but make a gift of it to him who has a different use for it. He will relieve us of the agony of all the judgments we have made against ourselves and reestablish peace of mind by giving us God's judgment of his Son. This is a jam-packed paragraph. Let's talk about it. I never would have thought as judgment being a weapon. It's a weapon. It's like in our minds, we're taking out a gun and we're literally shooting the other person. And even more often, we're turning that gun around and we're shooting ourselves. It's a weapon. Judgment has probably destroyed more people, places, and things. It certainly is at the root of all wars. So let's be aware of how incredibly dangerous judgment can be. Judgment is all about separation. The world of the ego likes to keep us stuck in thinking that we are these isolated little bodies and there's these other isolated bodies all traveling around in the same place, but we are separated. I am me and you are you, and never the twain shall meet. That is really the goal of the ego. God's world is unity. We are all together. We are literally one. I cannot hurt you without hurting myself, and I cannot love you without loving myself. They go hand in hand. We are all joined in God's love. When we judge someone, we're saying you are different. You're different from me. The way that you see the world, the way that you think, the way that you act, that makes you different. I have to make you wrong in order to make me feel okay about myself. This is especially true in politics. And we have seen some crazy things happen over the last couple of years in the world of politics. It's all about separation, about having these very different ideas. But when we see each other as being the same, then we can come together and we can solve some of the problems of society. This is my prayer. I refuse today to make somebody else the villain in order to make myself feel okay. That simply doesn't work. Anytime that I am living in judgment of another human being, I'm making myself a villain. So how does that help the situation? Yes, I can have different ideas of how to solve the world's problems. And certainly we want to be actively involved in trying to help those who need help. But that doesn't mean that we tear someone else down in order to build ourselves up. And then it makes of it what you would have it be. When we're judging someone, we are putting our own ego perception onto that person. We have dirty glasses. We want to take our glasses off and see God in that person. We can do that. God gives us the power to be able to see even what we would consider our worst enemies. We can learn to see those people through the eyes of love. We can send them love. We don't have to agree with them, but we can learn how to love them. And in doing that, we set ourselves free. It judges what it cannot understand because it cannot see totality. Now, let's stop and think. If we're looking through this tiny little periscope, all I see is this tiny, tiny little dot. I don't see what's all around it. Now, let's imagine that we're God and we can see everyone in the whole world at the same time. We can see what's happening in Asia at exactly the same that we can see what's happening in Mexico. And we can see how everything is interconnected. We can see how every single person is part of the whole. Can you imagine being able to really see what the Course here is calling totality? All right. Now, having seen the world that way, through God's eyes, can you judge what one person is doing over here? Because maybe it's counterbalancing what another person is doing over there. We don't know. The other thing that we don't understand is how a particular person's path is meant to go. Looking back through my life, I can see how even the hardest things, maybe even especially the hardest things, were meant to bring me to where I am today. Now, I can tell you that my poor mother and father worried a lot about me because I was crazy when I was in my teens. I did a lot of what people would consider very foolish, like getting engaged when I was 16 years old. But I thought I was smarter than everyone else. That situation was preparing me. It was like putting the manure into the dirt and tilling it all up, mixing it up so that when the seeds were planted, it would produce beautiful plants. That's what I believe is happening. So when it looks like someone is literally in the shit, like they're making what we would call terrible choices, maybe that's what they need to do in order for their soul to grow. And our job is simply to step back, not get involved, not try to rearrange and change someone else's life. My life is a big enough project by itself. I don't need to try and organize anyone else's life. But for years and years and years, I was so focused on that, on trying to rearrange someone else's life, that I didn't have any time to take care of my own life. And I ran myself right into a nervous breakdown. As hard as that was, I couldn't work for 2 years. I was absolutely crippled. by debilitating depression and anxiety. But I came back from that. It's like God took me and completely rearranged me at the cellular level and made me into a brand new person. When I talk about that, I feel the tears coming to my eyes because I'm so grateful that I was given that incredible gift. A Course in Miracles has been a big part of my reconstruction, my cellular rearrangement, and learning how to let go of judging another person has been a big part of it. This is not to say that I don't still fall into judgment, but I'm able to catch myself a lot sooner and bring myself back to seeing that person through the eyes of love and accepting that they have their own life to lead and it's none of my business. Let us not use judgment today, but make it a gift to God who has a different use for it. When someone else is doing or saying something that we might judge, we can step back and we can literally give our gift. We want to take it and physically hand it over to God and say, God, I give this as a gift to you. Thank you. Thank you for showing me a different way. Thank you for showing me that I don't understand the totality of what is going on for this person. I can release my judgment to you. God will take our judgment and He will turn it into the most beautiful thing. Here's what He will do. He will relieve us of the agony of all the judgments we have made against ourselves. Wow. I cannot tell you all of the judgments that I have made against myself over the years. I am stupid. I am lazy. I'm a terrible mother. I'm a terrible wife. These things. I'm a terrible employee. Any time that I've made a mistake in the past, I will take that mistake and I will beat myself up over it, beat myself up over it, beat myself up over it. And here's the real tragedy. A Course in Miracles has pointed this out, that when I am judging myself, I take that and I project it onto you and I judge you because it is too painful without God's help to really look at where I have gone astray. Where have I gone into the ditch? Where have I missed the straight and narrow road? But with the help of God and A Course in Miracles, I have learned how to do that. I have learned how to accept that I am a beautiful, beloved child of God. It's okay to make mistakes. I don't have to judge myself harshly. And even better, all of those times in the past where I have judged myself harshly, when I let go of judging you, I'm relieved of judging myself because ultimately we are all one. What I do to you, I ultimately do to myself. It works both ways. When I judge you, I judge myself. When I stop judging you, I stop judging myself. And even better, He reestablishes peace of mind by giving us God's judgment of His Son. How does God judge us? He simply judges us as beautiful, beloved children of God. You cannot look at a brand new baby and judge this child in any way as being a mistake, as being wrong, as being even slightly blemished. Every child is absolutely gorgeous, perfect, and wonderful. And that's how God sees us. Can you accept that today, my friend? If you're having any doubts, any reservations, if you have judgment on anyone, if you have judgment on yourself, I would encourage you to journal on it today. What is blocking you from accepting the truth of who you are? What is blocking you from accepting the truth of who someone else is? If you would like to close your eyes, I will read our final prayer. Father, we wait with open mind today to hear your judgment of the Son you love. We do not know Him, and we cannot judge. And so we let your love decide what He whom you created as your Son must be. Let's talk about it. Can you honestly say that you know another person as well as God knows them? We do not have the capacity to see the whole world at the same time, to see every single person in the world at the same time, and we do not have the capacity to fully understand why another person is doing what they are doing. God has a mighty plan that we cannot fully comprehend. It is only up to us to do our little part, to learn how to stop judging and embrace every single person, no matter what, in God's loving arms. That is who we are. That is how we were created to be. Let's take a look back at the first paragraph of the section. What is the last judgment? Christ's second coming gives the Son of God this gift, to hear the voice for God proclaim that what is false, and what is true has never changed. And this the judgment is, in which perception ends. At first, you see a world that has accepted this as true, projected from a now corrected mind. And with this holy sight, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears, its goal accomplished and its mission done. Let's talk about it. There are 10 lessons in this section, all helping us to understand judgment. As we go through the lessons, we learn to see more clearly that what is false, and what is true. When we see that, when we are seeing through God's eyes, we have holy sight. And with that, perception disappears. Perception is of the ego. Holy sight is seeing the truth of God's world. We no longer need perception when we are truly seeing through the eyes of love. Thanks so much for listening right until the end, my friends. If you enjoyed today's video, please share the love. Tell others about these videos. Encourage them to start at lesson 1 and only do 1 lesson a day. Are you ready for our special treat?
Now this is the biggest Katrina that I have ever seen. And just to give you an idea, there are some people standing at the base here. We're surrounded by marigolds. There's some turtles on the ground there. That's really something. Just to get an idea of the perspective, this is taller than the palm trees. Amazing.
I judge all things as I would have them be. I pray that you would only have them be seen through the eyes of love. Have a blessed day, my friends. I love you.